On today's episode, we have Andrea Tyler Evans of Frontdoors Media joining us for a conversation on how corporate social responsibility has been changing over the last couple of months and what that will look like moving forward. She's a philanthropist, a business leader, and community connector, and she's someone you certainly want to know. So make sure you tune in for this episode. I'm so excited to feature Andrea today. She is often the one telling the story of so many remarkable individuals and businesses within the Phoenix metropolitan area. So Andrea, thanks so much for joining us.
Great to be with you, Lindsay.
Andrea, I know several people probably are like, oh, you have such a familiar face, but I can't quite put my finger on how I know you. Would you mind just sharing a little bit more about who you are and how you're positively impacting the local business community?
Thank you. Yes, Andrea Tyler Evans. I am the owner and publisher of Frontdoors Media, where our tagline is "Your Key to the Community," and that's what we do across all of our platforms: is share the stories, heartfelt stories, inspiring stories about what really is going on in the Valley. And we do that through several areas, including our Frontdoors magazine, which has beautiful features on people that give of their time, talent, and treasure to make wonderful things happen and provide wonderful services here. And that's both, the philanthropists as well as the professionals that do the work. And we have a weekly e-newsletter. It's very popular, called The Knock, and it hits every Thursday afternoon with what's been going on that week, what events are coming up, now virtual events, and all sorts of, breaking news, if you will, in our community. And then we're very, very active on social media. We reshare all of these amazing stories and our content, including a video series with Carrie Pena called Frontdoors TV. And that's where to find us, frontdoorsmedia.com. And whatever way you like your information, we got a way to receive it.
Yeah, for those that aren't familiar with Andrea and her team, you guys are remarkable resources. In the past, we would see Andrea and her team members out and about in the business community all the time because there were so many events and they usually played a very active role in that. So one of the reasons why I wanted to bring Andrea onto the podcast today is just talking through how things have changed due to COVID and what that landscape looks like now. So Andrea, would you mind providing some insight around that?
Sure. It's been an incredible now 6 months, right? And with us being right at the ramp up of the event peak of the spring season, March 9th is my date in my head. I know everybody has their day of that week, but the next day, I think that it was the 10th that the sports started canceling. And then that's when we started getting the emails from the charities. We had over 50 events on our calendar between that March 9th date all the way up until May, including our signature event that we host, which is a end of the season celebration with the philanthropic community. And it was dominoes in my phone, my email box, my team members, and all of their contacts. And we said, okay, this is major. And the fear of the loss of fundraising that came with those messages was, are we postponing for a couple of weeks, a month, into the summer? And there were all sorts of scenarios and plans, and those, I would discuss on the phone with folks. But we said, okay, this is a lot of information. What do we do? And so we set up a dedicated web page and put out in our newsletter, here is COVID updates. It is free to submit them to us. What your status is of your organization, what services you're providing, if your event was canceled or postponed, all in one place. And we started, just making that like the top thing in our newsletter to our 50,000 subscribers and followers that we have. And it was, the traffic on it was amazing because, right, the large organizations are the leaders and the smaller organizations in town, it was a domino effect, and they look for that leadership of those corporate board members that are helping the charities make these decisions. And it just was this one week led to the next week, led to a month, led to 2 months, led to summer. And then everybody at least could take a collective breath, because we're usually down, in the summer with our activities, everything charitable, networking. And we rode that wave with them. And then the fall announcements started. And the first one was the Phoenix Heart Ball for the American Heart Association. They said, we're a healthcare organization. COVID is not going away. People look to us and our 60 plus year, fundraiser, which is always, so many corporations support and philanthropic community supports for all that research that, and people with heart disease, right, were susceptible to getting, the most difficulty if they did get coronavirus. And they came out first as a fall event and said, we're taking the year off. Everything will be carried over to 2021. And that was really incredible, and an incredible story that they did that. And then other organizations could then do the same. So yeah, we're in the virtual event world, at least through the end of the year.
So based on the trends that you've been seeing, I know initially, the idea was, oh, let's just postpone it, right? We'll postpone it for a couple months. Now you had mentioned individuals and organizations have pushed it to 2021. How many, or what does Q4 of 2020 look like? Are we going to have more virtual events, or are they still thinking, oh, no, we're going to wait and hold off till 2021?
We are going to have a lot of virtual events. The ones that have really launched the fall season have been the walks. We did a special promotion with the National Kidney Foundation for the Kidney Walk. And we have one coming up for TGen for their pancreatic cancer walk. And these aren't single day virtual participation. It's like a whole week long. Go on your walk, make your pledge. And now the weather's finally maybe cooling off, and still participate and still get some messaging and some updates from those institutions on what is going on and how, fundraising dollars, of course, are needed to continue their work. Then in October, looking on our calendar, is going to be a lot of virtual galas. And, Thursday is the new Saturday night. So Thursdays are going to be very busy, and it's great. You come home, you either order dinner from one of the restaurants that are supporting the organization, or make something yourself. And these virtual galas are an hour to an hour and a half max. So it's fun. It's fun to see what they've done. A lot of been getting great entertainers, still the fabulous auction prizes. So you can be sitting there bidding on your computer, which I love to do. And we will have a flood all the way through Q4. And now the big one I'm watching out for is holiday themed things. The arts organizations, the performing arts organizations, they cannot bring people back into the theaters yet safely. And they are looking at virtual programming. And I'm really excited because I think there's going to be some creative and innovative things for us to do with our children and with parents, whether they're here or far. We could still all join together and appreciate what'll be a COVID Christmas.
I know I'm personally very excited about it. Being a social extrovert, I get so much energy off of seeing my friends and being out there in the business community. So I love to hear that things are back on the calendar again for the end of the year. You had mentioned earlier about how you were nonprofits with getting the word out there. You had put that in your email blast so that way you could further communicate in the business community about the changes to their upcoming events. Who else or how else do you feel like you can help other nonprofits or business leaders here in the community?
There really is. We're very special here in that our nonprofit sector is so strong, and it really is a true web of the business community, the foundation and philanthropic community. A lot of those people are former, corporate leaders that this is their second act or their retirement project is to become a philanthropist, truly in every sense of the word. And then again, we have amazing leadership running our nonprofits, both as executives as well as board members. And I've always been a fan of that. Networking through charitable causes has, become an amazing thing, and it's very unique, I think, to our market. And with all these changes, the web of people and contacts has not changed, but the need to communicate and share and be open to sharing and really cheer each other on and support each other has been what I am hearing about, and the sense of what we do. And then, we can share those stories as long as everybody's, willing. And what I've been saying with our nonprofit leaders that are looking for examples, I have a collection now, a document of links, of recordings of all the virtual events that Frontdoors has been invited to ever since May. And really the first one was in April. Valleywise Health was able to take an event that was already on the books, and they had exactly enough time with their vendors to turn it into a live broadcast. And I said, well, what are you planning? What are your goals? Whatever. And I'll spend an hour on the phone going over those and my perspective of what I've seen and what the options are there, because these are local businesses that own, the AV equipment or our local news anchors that can be hired, to be MCs. The flower companies that can still maybe deliver a gift to your sponsors. Like, there's a lot of business involved in these charitable efforts. And the restaurants, I've seen some very creative things with our restaurants. And it's marketing for them, right? And it's heartfelt marketing, it's smart marketing. And we're here to be a connector and make everybody as successful as possible, and to share the story on top of it when it happens. So yeah, reach out to us anytime with any of the above, and happy to help. And then we do obviously have amazing advertising products to help get the word out there too.
Andrea, I'm glad you brought up the idea or the fact that you guys are connectors. You're some of the best connectors that I know in town. It seems like you guys know everybody. But I'm sure there are some individuals that you haven't met yet or that you're interested in getting in front of. So would you mind just sharing with our audience who you're hopeful or would like to get in front of here over the next couple of months?
Absolutely. Corporate philanthropy has been a new area for Frontdoors, in that, not that we, they're right, big companies. So let's talk the big companies. They have a public relations and a PIO person, but usually that person is in charge of the releases about, the stock prices and the bottom line, right? And I've found through just, again, my own one-by-one example of reaching out to friends that I've had before I became the owner of Frontdoors, that, hey, we don't hear from you. And I'd like to think there is, well, I know you have a employee volunteer program and or a employee giving program, and a community relations area within your company. We'd love to hear from you when you're doing something special, intentional, something beyond the event sponsorships. We get that from the charity, and we always, list all the companies that support the events in our photo galleries, but there's always a story. And so it's really become part of my mission. And I think with your audience to hear this, make sure your PIO and your public relations department adds those activities. We say we want to hear from everybody quarterly at a minimum. And that doesn't mean you're going to get a story 4 times a year, but it helps develop a relationship, and it helps kind of have a checklist. And so if your company is getting together to put bikes together for the Big Brothers Big Sisters or Boys and Girls Club for a program, I'm sure have somebody take some pictures of that. What milestone did you meet? How many employees were involved? That's an awesome weekly story for Front Doors. And then you can reshare it on your company newsletter. You know, we love it when we create content that can be shared wider. It's a win-win for everybody, right, in this digital age. And so I'd love to be hearing from more companies about what they're doing, and we can help them kind of coach through, okay, that's great, but we'll ask more questions back. And we do have an amazing feature in our magazine called Office Doors. And it is where our writer, Julie Coleman, spends a day in the life with an executive. And it's a business person feature. And so it toggles between the corporate world and the philanthropic world, as well as the executives that run the nonprofits. And it's really fun. We dig out some really fun little tidbits about people and their hobbies and what they do before they go to work and when they get home from work. And so if you've never seen our Office Doors, there's a tab for it on our magazine tab at frontdoorsmedia.com, and you can see who's been featured most recently. But pitch your leaders, send out over an idea, for us.
What a great idea, especially since I feel like so many individuals within their business space, they're recalibrating and thinking through what can we be changing within our business to get in front of our clients, our target audience, or just even, team building activities or building our company culture from a distance. So being more mindful of the opportunities and how we can help to share that even through platforms like Front Doors, I think is phenomenal. And I love the idea of your office doors concept. Maybe you'll be hearing from me on that one. So for that specific one, for those individuals that would love to get their content in front of you or share some of their stories, what's the best way for them to do that?
My email is everywhere. We don't have layers of security for access here. So yeah, no, reach out to me personally, Andrea at frontdoorsmedia.com. Just don't forget the S, Front Doors, because it's lots of doors that we open up to all the way around with our business model. But that's the thing. What I tell everybody, because we do tiny nonprofits all the way to the very large ones that have national affiliates, that we are here for everybody. We're a very inclusive publication, and we mean that in every sense of the word. And so small businesses, we do have a partnership with Local First. And with our restaurant column, we make sure we feature somebody who's affiliated with Local First that's in the restaurant or food industry every month. And so we really show that we, diversity, the arts, healthcare, and take that premise of our community and apply it 12 months of the year. And so sometimes we do run themes, like we always in August report on our arts and culture, and boy, they need it more than ever, because that earned revenue, is at a zero for most of our arts and culture. The big cover story we did in the magazine was the amazing creativity that the team at the Phoenix Zoo rallied and did for Drive Through the Zoo. And it really saved their earned revenue plan for the summer. It didn't fully, fund all the loss from their peak season being in the spring for zoo, ticket sales, but it has become a very successful model and an innovative model. And we did it ourselves, our family, and it's super fun. And they're continuing it because it was such a wild success. So, back to your original question, it's reach out to us directly and just share your heart, share your thoughts. I don't need a formal press release.
Andrea, you do such a phenomenal job as far as sharing everybody else's story. However, I think there's a lot of people curious in the business community about your specific story. Would you mind just sharing a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today?
Oh my goodness. Well, to make it brief, I grew up in Southern California and it was the first in my family to go to a four-year university. And I grew up near the Rose Bowl, so I wanted to go to a school that could maybe play in the big game someday, and landed on Arizona State. And that's how I got here, and really have fallen in love with our community through my experience as a student, and then an active alumni with our amazing ASU. And my first job, after a year of interviewing and waitressing, was ended up at the American Heart Association. I had a degree in health sciences, um, and so that was a fit. But I was hired to be in the development fundraising department, and really, that was my Oh, thank goodness I landed there, because my job was to work on their signature fundraising event and work with the corporations that did the sponsorships and fulfill all those benefits. And I learned the intricacies, right, of the deal, right, and you know other people were selling them, the volunteers were, but I was the one really, responsible for facilitating a lot of those details and marketing assets. And it was from there that I went to the Phoenix Symphony, our largest performing arts organization. And same thing, except for arts. I was now out of my comfort of the healthcare industry, if you will, and now learning about our amazing and vibrant arts organizations at a tipping point, really. um, Downtown was still a very quiet place. Banquet Ballpark was just being built. But as a gift to the symphony, Jerry Colangelo, when he opened up the ballpark, he made the opening gala a gift to the symphony. And so there was a gala black tie opening of the ballpark. And that was part of my job duties. And it was what an amazing memory, right? Um, and then after that, I went through Valley Leadership. And that was, again, my next pivot in my career, because I really was pretty young and collected all this amazing experiences that were shared by my 49 classmates, many of which were much more established in their careers and their spheres of networking in the Valley. And it was everybody, right? Valley Leadership is always a collection of every aspect of the community as much as it can be, and diverse in every way. And so I was really quiet in my class and really soaking it in as a student, if you will. And it was after that that I said, I think I can take my experience at one of the largest health organizations and one of the largest arts organizations, and go out and be a consultant. And so my specialty, at those charities was the events. And so I put out there that I was available to assist nonprofits that did not have full-time staff, to be their staff for hire, and really come in and help, whether it was 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, year round, meet their next level goals for their event fundraising, both on the income and on the expenses. The expenses are just as important in many cases. So I did that for 15 years before I met the founder of Front Doors. It was called Front Doors News at the time, and she was ready to move on. And we started discussing the possible acquisition, and I was ready for a new challenge. We obviously came to terms. She's still my mentor in what I do, and we catch up regularly. Her name's Julia Patrick. I'm sure many of you know her, and she's gone on and become a teacher of nonprofit ways through all of her experience that she had. And it's been 3.5 years, which I cannot believe, since the big announcement that it is my husband and I, but I, run the business, and changed it to Front Doors Media, and have expanded our footprint and our coverage with the amazing brand that had been passed on to us.
I love your story, and I think that's inspiring to a lot of our, especially young leaders within the business community. So, if you could go back and tell your younger self any advice, or maybe this advice for some young professionals who want to be just like you someday, what advice would that be?
First, it's all gonna be okay. I am a perfectionist, and that is both a good thing and my toughest thing. And I'm very hard on myself and my, goals and my expectations. And so I've had to learn through, right? Events are tough, So I came from this everything needs to be perfect and with this personality, and something always happens at an event, and the magic is, did nobody know about it, or you just kind of blew able to blow right past it and make a quick switch. And there's a lot of tools and tricks to make that happen, um, that I had to learn, but I would get very stressed out behind that pipe and drape, with my clipboard, making everything go. So I'm so glad I did that before I did this, because again, creating a magazine, perfection again is like the expectation that there's not a word out of place or a link out of place because it's digital as well as in print. And so my advice is always, I'm better at it now. Just take a moment. It's all going to be okay, because you care. In my world, stress comes to me because I care, and it's still not good for me, but it comes from the right place. And so yeah.
I think that's some great advice. So, for those individuals that are not already connected with you, but after listening to today's podcast are like, yep, I need to add Andrea into my contact list or start following all the great activity that she's doing in the business community, where can they find you?
We're most active social media wise on Facebook. So at Front Doors Media is our handle for all social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. And then, I only use my personal one because I am a mom of two amazing growing children as well. So I really need to know somebody before I do the personal thing. I don't have a fan page or anything like that. But so follow Front Doors Media at Front Doors Media. We've been working to get more active on LinkedIn. We do share the Office Doors segment and any other stories we do with corporate community on our LinkedIn page now, and that's been an area of growth for us. But Facebook's our most active spot, and where we post daily, really the happenings and what's going on in the community. And yeah, I'm on there too.
Andrea, thanks for all the great work that you're doing in our business community and helping us set, especially our nonprofits, up for success. I appreciate you joining us for today's episode.
It's my honor, and I look forward to hearing from more of you out there. We'd love to share your stories.